I guess first and foremost, what about a little bit of an insight into your, I'm going to say, athletic background? Because you've been running for a little while, but was there more to you than just the runner we see today?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved sports from like a really, really young age. Like, I think maybe it's down to being like an only child that you have to spend a lot of time outdoors finding stuff to do and playing and like interacting with other people. So doing like, and obviously being British, team sports I think is like a real big thing. So football, rugby, cricket, blah blah blah, hockey, volleyball, not volleyball, what's it called? Netball, that's it. But so yeah, doing like team sports is always a thing. So I was always, doing playing a lot of football and anything that was like a team sport and everything. But yeah, I mean, I've just always loved sports and kind of, like that kind of jack of all trades in a way, always, trying to do something, always, give my full effort to something. So yeah, I really enjoyed just doing sports and like pushing my limits or having a bit of fun, I guess, in a way.
Of course. So in terms of the running, you found that slightly later on in life after schooling had finished?
Yeah and no. So when I was at like, I don't know, it's always really hard to like define because I've lived abroad and from England, but what do you call it? Like college age, is it, 14 to 18? When I was at school at that age, I call it school. That's why a lot of people get confused. But I did fair bit of running there, like part of like the school cross country team. It's nothing like what it's like in the US when they talk about cross country. But yeah, I was doing quite a lot of running. I remember I was always like the best at the bleep test, if anybody's done that. It's a nice hard effort where it's like, I think 20 meters and the beeps get quicker and you have to make it. And I remember always like annoying the PE teacher because I was never part of the rugby team or the cricket team because I only liked playing football. And so I'd always beat all the rugby players in the rugby season. The PE coach wants obviously all the rugby players to be the fittest. But yeah, so I did that then. And then I guess I went to traveling around Australia after, and then I actually really badly hurt my knee when I went for a run. And, being a traveler and everything, you don't pay for a physio, you don't pay to go to doctors, you don't take it seriously in a way. And then, so I just said, okay, that's it. I'm not a runner, and gave running up for probably, I don't know, it was 5-6 years or something in a way, the odd occasional run and everything. And then I went to see a physiotherapist when I kind of moved back here to Finland, and she said, okay, your glute's not activated. And then, yeah, I mean, my knee was fine and just started like going full throttle into running again. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think both you and I have experience with physio, and certainly for me, I kind of felt like I wish I'd had a physio on hand at the very start of my running journey, just to talk to and just to say, can you give me some tips and insight? Because it's not sometimes until something goes wrong that you then discover the professional and sort of wish in hindsight you had known a bit more about it.
And the problem is like nowadays is like Dr. Google can tell you like so many wrong things, and you can start to think you've got some tear and it's going to take 8 months to recover, or that you've got some cartilage damage and that's it, you're just not a runner. And having professionals of advice, it's like, I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, which I recommend to anyone. And it's like, okay, let's see if I can get this story across quickly and effectively, that you don't go to a lawyer for advice on how to do knitting. Yeah, you go to a lawyer for advice for lawyering. But you go to somebody who knits. You go to your grandma for advice on knitting. So it's the same like with running. Don't go for advice on running from some guy on Reddit, who's probably just, I don't know, trolling or whatever. Go to somebody who's like dedicated like 3 or 4 plus years of education and experience on those things.
Yeah, I found myself removing myself from a number of running groups, actually, partly because of that, where people who are new to running put a comment and they're after some advice, but the advice is so varying that I found myself feeling bad for them, knowing what it was like. I kind of stumbled my way through a lot of the things in the early days, but I very much, especially on YouTube, I just try and stay in my lane. I only comment on what I know. My experience is limited to what I've done so far. But I think, like you say, it's a bit worrying that people will naturally turn to Google and follow the advice of others, even if it may not seem correct.
It's like a tough one, isn't it? Because, like monetary, so, you don't have the money just to go to a physio all the time. It might not be that easy, like enduring like these circumstances right now. And there's a lot of different varying advice. So yeah, I mean, it's like finding a balance. And the problem, I think one of the things is that, it's all fine to go on YouTube or to Google stuff and figure out like a few little things, but to have the sense to realize, where you're at as well. So
yeah, I was one of the videos you put up yesterday about things you wish you knew when you started running.
Yeah.
And I commented about the gait analysis. And it's funny because that's sort of my go-to now when people ask me questions about I'm starting running, what should I do? And yeah, I started in the completely wrong pair of shoes for a good number of months. I didn't even know what gait analysis was, but that tends to be my one go-to because it takes my point of view out of it. Go and see somebody in a shop that's got the machinery, got the equipment to give you a fair analysis. And then that way I don't say, oh, well, I'm running in this shoe and it's absolutely awesome. You should invest all your money in it because I wear it. We wear some similar items of clothing, but you wear different shoes to me. And I think sometimes it's easy to get invested in what somebody you look up to wears rather than thinking that actually everybody is very different.
Yeah, I mean, that's the world that we're brought up into, isn't it? Like as a teenager playing football, I bought Adidas boots to be like David Beckham. So yeah, tough to break it, but completely right, as you said. Going to, something like gait analysis as well is like super easy to do nowadays. It's not, it's got this technical term that people might be scared away, thinking like, oh, I've got to pay for this, and it's going to take like forever, and I have to at least know how to run. It's like, okay, they just get you on a treadmill, film you, and sort of say, hey, look, you're doing this or doing that. And
yeah, and I think when you go to, certainly for me at the local park run, you see people wearing all sorts of different things, shapes and sizes, people wearing anything. I've seen them from wearing Converse to, the latest and greatest, the next percent. But it's fair to say that running is accessible to everybody. And the kit requirement is actually very, very small and very limited as to what you need to get going, to walk out the door.
True.
When you look at what's happening now with this sort of lockdown situation, more people are finding it because they're utilizing that daily exercise, but then realizing that actually running might be something that they've stumbled into and they're quite enjoying. I'm seeing it outside every day, people sort of jogging past, getting used to it. And I think the new Strava situation probably reflects what's happening there with the amount of uptake for new runners.
That's kind of why I wanted to put that video up yesterday of like 5 things. Like, yeah, I mean, there's so many more. I started writing down a list, and there was like, I think 10 or more, but just some key takeaways. And, then also, everybody else has got their own experience. So it's nice for other people to chip in. But yeah, there's certainly lots of things to learn, but also, it's quite, I think it also should be for the person to learn themselves as well. Obviously, you don't want people to get injured or, make the wrong mistakes, but, it's the whole fun of starting something new is learning. And also that's the biggest way people learn. Well, that's the type of learner I am. You do something, you make a mistake in inverted commas, and you move on from that, right?
I would say that I'm definitely a better runner for discovering these things by myself, for making the mistakes. Perhaps I'm 6 months behind or a year behind to where I would have been if I'd started out with a one-to-one running coach and had all the professional advice. But I've enjoyed my journey, and I can look back on it and feel like I've had some ownership over the struggles, the highs and the lows.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more sense of personal achievement as well, that you kind of figured it out yourself, and you become a lot more, I guess, knowledgeable in that sense. And like as you probably know, I actually just started having a coach at the beginning of the year, and then obviously with the coronavirus times, a lot of things have changed, so I've had to stop that. And actually, I've kind of decided anyway that I'm not going to go back to having a coach, because I like to have the freedom to do the things the way that I want to do and be a little bit less structured and learn through doing my own research and all of that. It's a lot more fun as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's important. If you're not finding it fun, why, you're just following like a program or something, then it takes away something from this thing that you love doing. So
yeah, when I originally decided to do my ultra, the one I wanted to sign up for, I had seen that a local runner who was also a coach had done it the year before. And my reason for wanting to get a bit one-to-one coach with him was to actually get his opinion on how best to tackle the route, just because I'd never done it before. But that was never going to be long-term. It was more just to get that FaceTime with somebody who could say, look, the latter part of this ultra is going to be really tough for you because there are more hills, and because I don't live necessarily too close to that part of it, I wouldn't get there so often. But with that ultra being cancelled, it meant I never really got a chance to have any time with a coach. But I think for me, I would probably just want to get someone to maybe look at my form and just tweak it, which the physio did do. But I think sometimes running alongside somebody, or now 2 meter distance, they'd be able to just say, you need to maybe pick your feet up a little bit more, improve that turnover. And again, the language makes a little bit more sense to me now. Whereas at the start, I would have just said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm moving my legs.
yeah, it's like, I think also like with Emma, my wife, for people who don't know who Emma is, but both of us also want to learn, improving your stride, maybe not heel striking or landing too far in front of your thing. It really depends. Heel striking is not necessarily bad. It just depends where it is or whatever. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But as you said, getting somebody to look at it and sort of say, okay, yeah, we also know, because there can be very multiple different reasons. It can be that, you've got anterior pelvic tilt, or it could be perfectly fine, or it could be that you're running like with your like leaning completely forwards or something. So there's lots of really great YouTube videos and from physiotherapists online, but they give you good strengthening routines to do, but it doesn't tell you why your situation is like that. So I was thinking actually a really good option is I'm going to go, hopefully when all this coronavirus thing kind of settles down a little bit, to as a university here. And, they obviously do a lot of examinations because they're learning to do things, and you can get it quite reasonable rates. So we're going to do like, gait analysis, and also VO2 max, and also, I forget what it's called. Is it ECG? Where they kind of, they put some like little nodes on your legs and just kind of measure like the muscle reaction sort of time. So yeah, as you said, getting it personalized is, personalized advice is always better than not personalized. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding the same thing with my girlfriend who's doing the Catch 5K. I had put an order in for a pair of shoes because they were sort of on offer and I really liked them. And I said, oh, these would be really good for you. But funny enough, that got cancelled because they weren't in stock after we'd ordered them. But then she put a pair of shoes on, a pair of Nike shoes, and she actually said, I feel like I'm running inwards. I feel like my feet are kind of angled this way. And it was kind of through that discovery of her swapping shoes that she realized that was happening. And then I said, it's probably a good thing I didn't order those shoes, because perhaps you need kind of more of a stability shoe. We're all very different. The shoes that I'm recommending for you are just from my experience. And I think what you need to do is actually, obviously I don't want to spend the money unnecessarily, but we need to maybe get a little bit of insight before you go and dip into a pair of shoes, because everybody is different. But of course she's trying to lean on my experience there. And I said, well, look, you've identified it for yourself, which is something that I never knew. I didn't really know if I was a neutral stability runner because I didn't know what the terms meant. But she's identified that in herself on her own sort of journey. Yeah. Now, one of the first videos I commented on was your park run. Living out in Helsinki, your park run experience is probably very, very different to many people who do the park run around the world, because yours, certainly the ones that I've seen, are predominantly pretty cold
Yeah.
and pretty slippery, yet you still manage to achieve some pretty special times for the 5K, certainly in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I've never done a park run in the UK or anywhere else, actually, only in Helsinki. It was pretty new here, I think, like a year ago. And yeah, I just thought it's something, obviously, watching YouTube, I think like everybody who's a runner, in a sense, they're always posting that they go to a park run or whatever. And I kind of like wanted to be a part of that and went to the one here in Helsinki when it first came. And as you said, if you look back, there's like me, it's yeah, like uh, I don't know, what is it in feet? It's like 30 centimeters of snow, and it's pretty. But running in snow and ice, you might think it's a lot harder than it actually is. It's the ice is surely a problem, but with snow, it's kind of just normal. You get used to it. It's like, yeah, you do it a few times and you adjust to it. But it's yeah, it's a really nice place to obviously go running. A, in Helsinki, B, in the snow, and it's nice. I really enjoyed like the community aspect of it, and when I was doing it as well, I just wanted to try and help promote the park run here in Helsinki, because whereas like here in Helsinki we were getting like 30 or 40 people, and I guess I don't know, how many does your local one get, or like is it something
Uh,
like 1,000 or 500 or
yeah,
something?
yeah. The last part
It's
when I
like,
did 590.
yeah, it's pretty insane, like how many people, like, and the ones in London, I'm sure, gain like huge amounts. So it's a really nice movement, and I really like that about these sort of things.
I think the good thing about parkrun as well is that it also allows you to identify the spaces that you can do 5 kilometers in or more, because they've got a route more or less planned out, which is easy to search on Strava and easy to find.
I always remember as well, actually, like there's a few times that I went, and because it's not such a popular thing, actually the majority of the people attending the park runs were people on holiday from the UK, from Australia. Probably like 70%, maybe 60% of the people were. And people at the front, and they were like, oh my God, I'm actually going to win one for once, like, like with like 18 minutes or whatever, because I guess people usually with like an 18-minute 5K in the UK, I guess the winners are always coming in around 16, or I don't know, but in a popular ones in London, they're always like 15 and a half or something. So, being able to win a park run with an 18-minute 5K, they were like, yes. And then sometimes I would like creep across them in the last half a kilometer, but not on purpose. But I actually, at the beginning, I was doing it to try and win as many, just to put, because my name on park run is Marc Teen Vegan, so just to put the vegan kind of name at the top, that they say, oh damn it. But, no.
I was talking to my uncle yesterday, actually, who I did the marathon training with originally, and he said to me, "Oh, you're still doing the vegan thing?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, you've had some really good results off the back of being vegan, and would you change?" And he's far more open-minded now. So he grew up in a family where they're kind of a basic butcher family, and that's what they've done. But his daughter is vegetarian. They reduced their meat significantly, probably by 80% or more. And he's feeling better because of it. And I always just say to people, again, like running, the information is out there, but essentially you need to discover and experience it for yourself to know what the benefits either are or perhaps aren't for you, if that's the way you're inclined. But certainly for me, I felt like it has been a dramatic improvement and change in not only my athleticism, but kind of just the mindset, the lifestyle. The whole lot has really been all encompassing for me, that vegan, the movement. And there's been a really positive change in my life.
Yeah, I would pretty much say, it's exactly the same. It's shaped me the way that I am outside of health and all of that stuff as well. Being able to sort of think, your whole life you've been told something, and you then maybe change to completely different. You're like, hey, hang on a second. You start questioning things a lot more. You know, is social media good for me? Is, you know, staying up late, you know, bad? Or I don't know. There's so many different little things, but it makes you question things a little bit more. You sort of, because I saw like a huge change when I started going vegan. I was like, my recovery was through the roof. I actually lost a little bit of weight. Not that that wasn't the reason at all, but I mean, it was weird to see that I actually did have a bit of weight on me. And yeah, I just, then one of the biggest things as well is that I'd have like my days were very high energy and crash, high energy and crash, high energy and crash quite a lot. And that's not just doing sports. We're just talking about like in general, and like fatigue. But now I really do find it's like a real even energy. Yeah, and I'm not here like saying, you know, go vegan and whatever, but like, I'm just talking about what's happened to me. And the funny thing is, as you said, like I personally take the approach, you know, I'm not pushing it upon people, because I discovered my own journey the way that I went through it. And I think people need to also, as you just said, like go through it their own way. There's no harm in sharing a little bit of knowledge and sharing a little bit of insight, because that might help inspire people. Or, you know, might people next, you go around to eat and they told you, oh yeah, I made a vegan lasagna or something. It was great. And I felt good the next day and whatever. And actually, like, Emma's family, like her parents, have both pretty much gone vegan and seen huge benefits. So like this topic could go on forever. You know, there's so many different benefits on different levels. It's like personally and ethics, and also like how you can create a positive impact for somebody else's life now, you know, like Emma's parents or whoever it is, that they've now maybe feeling a lot better and being able to go running, or not feel as wheezy when they go up the stairs or whatever it is. But yeah, it's quite a big thing in a way.
I find it really powerful. One thing I try to articulate to people whenever they say to me, what was the kind of most immediate benefit you saw, is I just felt emotionally a whole lot more stable and level. Like you say, that kind of just constant plateau of being very, very content. And I think when we look at, you could talk about recovery and people can identify with that, but when there's kind of this internal feeling, you can't actually share it. But what you can say to people is, you should try this, because when you experience it for yourself, you'll understand what I mean. But I always find it very difficult to articulate that sense that I got from it. And I found it really interesting, certainly in the UK here with this whole lockdown situation, that the vegan food at the start was sold out, whereas I could walk into a shop and get it. People were turning to that. Now, it could be because some of the milk is more long life and so on and so forth. But I actually thought to myself, I really hope that, you know, at least a handful of you have discovered some of the food products which are out there, whether they're mock meats or not, and just started to realize I can survive. I won't die by eating this food, and it doesn't taste of cardboard or grass. So I've been really championing people who have messaged me and said, hey, those meat-free sausages, they're pretty good, you know. And I've said, well yeah, sure. If that's your thing and you're really desperate for sausages, buy those. So that's been quite fascinating for me to see. And I would hope that when this kind of next Veganuary rolls around, they get another intake of people, and hopefully more people who would be able to say I dipped into it during that coronavirus thing and actually it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, it is, as you said, like people are panic buying things, and maybe it's shelf life, maybe it's just because they're bored and got something to do, or I don't know. But like I think there's this huge stigma around the word vegan, that all of a sudden it's kind of like, you know, like a tree hugger, and then you're attacking the people who aren't vegan. And look, I've got loads of friends who aren't vegan, right? But it's, you know, I'd love to try and spread that message, not because of the animals, but it is actually because of the animals, but because I just want to help people feel better, right? And actually the odd sort of Well, the odd sort of thing is that it goes hand in hand with, helping the animals. Helping somebody actually helps the animals as well. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there are a few people in my circle who are vegan, but many who I've spoken to have at least tried or have at least given it a go and just changed out some things in their diet to see, and have found that they can find kind of a nice complement and a good balance, depending if they've got family and other dependents. That makes it, I guess, more difficult when you're shopping. But I think it's just nice to see that people have taken the opportunity to at least reflect for a moment on their food choices. And like you say, during coronavirus, maybe they want to make banana bread and just figured, I need to just buy in a load of fruit, or all the lentils. Couldn't get any chickpeas. I mean, crazy. Most people don't want to touch those, but my local shop, no chickpeas for probably 3 weeks. But one thing I wanted to say was, in terms of your journey and your YouTube, hopefully you'd share the same opinion as me, but I'm so pleased that I just documented it and my experience from the start, just so I can look back on it and see how far I've come. I mean, it's been something that I didn't really understand would have such an impact on my life in a positive way, but I really am pleased that I made that decision just to upload that first video.
Yeah, it's I've only been following you, I think, from when I basically started YouTube. So I think a year and just over a year ago. So I think you've been doing it how long? 2 years?
I think it's about 18 months, something like that. It would have been a year before the Brighton Marathon, which was April 2019. So coming up to just over 2 years.
Yeah. So, but I remember first coming into YouTube, and I think you were one of the probably the first people who actually kind of subscribed outside of my family, in a sense. And it was super cool, to meet people and interact with people. But as you said, it's a really cool thing to have all your story there for, as you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be for other people to watch, but that you've got it documented and you can kind of use it as an archive for you to sort of look back on. But I had a few core reasons why I started YouTube, and it was because I really wanted to improve my self-confidence. I'm not unself-confident, but I really wanted to improve my way of communicating with people. And, it's a pretty hard thing to stand there with a camera in front of people, or not in front of people, even just in your home, and try and get an effective and clear message across and then put it out onto YouTube. It's a pretty scary thing. I'm sure most people, as soon as I turn the camera onto them, they're like, really? And they're like this and everything. And then that's the whole reason why I started doing it. Well, not solely, but one of the main reasons. And I've improved. Not fully there yet, but it's been an interesting thing. And it's nice actually now to go back and look on some of those videos and how maybe awkward or I wasn't as great as effectively at getting my message across, and to see now, still not perfect, but there's improvement. And that's nice to see when you see improvement. And that's exactly the same as anything in that video, as I said, for runners yesterday, is having that data from the beginning that you can see that you did a 5K in 45 minutes, and then the next 6 months you're doing a 5K in half an hour. That's really nice to be able to see. So it's nice to have that kind of logbook there in a way, isn't it? I guess in life we've always been like that, diaries, and we all it's a nice thing.
That's what it was for me. I didn't actually have an external hard drive at the time. I thought, where can I store this content for free? And most of it just one shot on my mobile phone. It went up unedited, and most of it. I mean, you commented on my first video. You went back recently and commented on it, and that's just a blurry mess of me on a treadmill in a pair of shoes which are a size too big. I got them from a charity shop for £2. But that's part of the journey, and
and the classic Dan runs vlog angle.
Most of my things were like this.
That always makes me laugh.
I hadn't realised that I could, I was holding it here, but I think it's the embarrassment though. I think it was because I was like, I don't really want people to know I'm recording. Whereas now it's a bit more like this, but before I was kind of like.
Yeah, I get it. The good thing is that here in Finland, there's not many people. So no, I'm joking, there are, but it's just when you go running in the forest, there's not so many people. So
Yeah, I think now I do a little bit more on the trails. I don't really see many people, so it's much
yeah,
easier. But I know, when I was out in the residential street, especially at night, and it's raining, and you're running with a camera like this, or it was my mobile phone, which was quite difficult to run with. I really wish I'd been able to record my first marathon on the GoPro. I didn't have one at the time, just because I think for clarity, it's a bit of a shame that I haven't quite got the content, but I've got the memories from the day nonetheless.
Yeah, you don't. I think you made quite a lot. You talked about quite a lot of it before and after, which was pretty good. But also, like just on that kind of point is, I realized that what makes you scared, right? Like walking past someone talking to the camera like this, and I started making a conscious effort because I didn't want to do it, even if I wasn't going to use that footage or wanted to do anything, just to do it, to put myself outside my comfort zone. And I'm still not super comfortable, but now I don't really care what somebody else thinks of me, because I probably won't see them ever again. But that's one thing I tried to start doing. But.
Yeah, and when I was talking to Chris today from Here We Are Running, he was one of the first people locally to me to record a lot of races, and I really wasn't doing that. I was taking part in them, but I wasn't documenting them. And it's funny because when we go to races together, we're the only two people out of a field of many thousand who have a GoPro in our hand. And you could say that it maybe affects your time slightly or the experience of the race, but I think it's really important to at least document what's around you. And that's why I've commented a number of times in a video about wanting to come to Helsinki. And it's solely because of what you've documented that I want to come there, because before that point I knew of it, but I didn't really have any idea of what it looked like from the ground. So I just think what you're doing especially is just bringing to light the possibilities for, travel at the moment is difficult, but I think in the future what people could experience if they chose to go to Helsinki, for example.
It's a great place.
Right, I've got some quick fire questions now from Teen Vogue magazine. These are icebreaker first date questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for
5.
it.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
What was it called? Brontosaurus Rex.
Very good. One of the stockier members of the Diplodocus family. Would you rather own a dragon or be a dragon?
Be a dragon.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't think I want to own anything, so I'm a bit of a minimalist. So,
how about this is a strange icebreaker question? If you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be?
Spatula. No. What's it called? The silicone spatula. To be a bit more specific. Yeah, because it's quite effective and it's like zero waste.
I think I would be a spoon. I just think it's got many uses, a spoon. Would you rather time travel to the past or the future?
Past, for sure. Yeah.
Any particular era? I would choose the Greek era, I think.
I would pick yesterday because I cooked banana bread and it was really good. But no, I think like medieval would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think a lot, not much infrastructure. I think that's why.
You could pretend you invented everything and then become rich.
Yeah, is that Blackadder? Like in Blackadder, I think, is it?
That would be fantastic. And the final quick fire question. I don't know who wrote these at Teen Vogue magazine, but they should be ashamed. What breakfast cereal has influenced your life the most?
Shreddies?
I don't know. I saw the question and I thought, because these are genuinely supposed to be like first date questions, I can't imagine sitting across from somebody who seriously says to me, so, how family, what's your job? Breakfast cereal, which one's influenced you? I think I would go Rice Krispies and any cheaper variation, because even if you buy a cheap version of Rice Krispies, they tend to be pretty good. So that's where I'd put myself.
No, I must admit, I've never been a fan of Rice Krispies. They just go too mushy too quick, and I quite like. I always like a bit of a crunch. That's why it's like Shreddies were always, quite crunchy, and especially the ones with the sugar, the frosted Shreddies were the ones that I already like the most, obviously. So, but,
yeah,
no reason why. That's just why.
I must admit, I'm a bit of as soon as the milk goes in, I tend to start eating straight away. So, like you, if they go
Yeah,
too mushy, it's game over
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
I just thought that was quite an interesting icebreaker section there to do. So, for anybody
Yeah, I
watching, if
mean,
you're on a first date, I mean, take note of those questions because they are guaranteed to build amazing rapport. Apparently, that's what they say at Teen Vogue.
yeah, I think this is the last time we do this. No, I'm joking.
Okay, so just a final question then.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of running, in terms of YouTube, kind of what's been your one takeaway, your point of reflection over the last year or so on there that you think has really made a beneficial impact on your life, whether that's through the recording of YouTube or just through doing the run, something that maybe has made a significant difference to your outlook or your feeling?
Yeah, good question. I'm trying to think. Is there something? I think, like, I guess it's quite easy to say this because it's fresh in the mind with coronavirus and everything. And like, I'm quite lucky, like here in Finland, that not just for me, but we haven't had as strict restrictions. It's not been as harsh as in some countries. So first of all, that's a good thing on health front for a nation. But it's quite a realization in the sense that nature is free, and nature is so beautiful and wonderful, and we should be so grateful for that. And that's something that I'm forever grateful for. And the fact that I can just go out into a forest, which is 2 kilometers or not even away from me, and just to be out there in nature. And you sometimes tend to forget that you are part of this world. You are not this world. And when you're out there, that's when you realize you're just like an ant crossing, a tree trunk. You're not. The world doesn't revolve around you. And these times, especially now, have made me like reflect and be even more grateful. I feel it's a little bit hard to be even more grateful than I was grateful before for it. But seeing some people being like in Spain, like some friends, like completely stuck in their house, and it's quite sad, obviously, on the health sort of front. But then also, there's all, as you said, wanting to travel yourself. And for me, I'd love to see, we have all these great things on our doorsteps in a sense, and sometimes we don't appreciate them. And I think it's brought, probably not just to myself, but to a lot of people, the freedom of range of movement and everything. And sorry to go on so long, but one more kind of, I guess, extra point onto that is the fact that, we need to respect this environment and help protect it so that other people can enjoy it as well. So yeah, I guess no.
I think for me, especially in the most recent times, in the last couple of weeks, I've discovered the beauty of the natural local environment that I just didn't even know existed. And I think if it wasn't for running, I would never have seen them. I would never have gone there because it just wasn't part of my kind of discovery. I wasn't setting out to go on huge walks to amazing places. I was just existing, but I wasn't really, taking full advantage of the experience of life. So I think, yeah, I've taken such a huge amount away from it, and echo some of the same points you make there.
Yeah.
Okay. For anybody watching this now, in terms of connecting with you, you have a YouTube channel, you are on Instagram. Is the place to connect with you best YouTube in the comments, would you say?
Yeah, it's always the best place. I always reply to every comment. So, and I enjoy if it's chatting something serious or just chatting, having a joke. It's just fun to connect, especially when it's about running, or even if it's not about running, to be honest.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to put the links down below in the description box, and like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. Cards up here. I love that when people go, check out the card, and it's over that side. It's just
I did
excellent.
that. I did that for the first time today, because I'd never normally do that. Like, click on the card, and then I had no clue because I've never done it. So I was like, left, and then I was like, I actually did another clip and said, oh, on the right over here.
Well, thank you so much for today. It's been real good fun chatting with you, kind of face to face or as close to it as possible. So thank you for your time. And
Yeah, it's been fun.
leave a comment down below, interact with Mark, and check out his channel for an amazing insight into his journey and see how he has skyrocketed through the subscribers with amazing content. So I will chat to you soon, Mark. Thank you very much for this experience. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Cheers, Dan, and everyone else for watching. It's been fun.
All right. I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, see you, man.
Bye.